And there we go. We're live. Greetings, guys, gals, and non binary pals. Welcome to Viral Transmissions episode number 32, which we're entitling The Prophecy. I'm Joe Foljam. Joining me, as usual, is Dr. Rob Tarswell. Viral Transmission is brought to you by the BC Humanist Association. You can check more of them out at bchumanist.ca. Let's start off with I guess we're starting off with the prophecy instead of the numbers. We normally do
1 year ago today.
the numbers. Let me share this. Hold on. Let's
Sure.
get it on
I'm
screen.
gonna put the two the dueling 1 year ago today, my friends. Two fateful tweets landed on
Mr. Joe Biden. Well, I can't alt tab. I'm doing my whole screen for some reason. There we go.
one was
We are not prepared for a pandemic. Trump has rolled back progress President Obama and I made to strengthen global health security. We need leadership that builds public trust, focuses on real threats, and mobilizes the world to stop outbreaks before they reach our shores. And he's quote tweeting a Washington Post article that discusses none of these 195 countries, the U.S. included, is fully prepared for a pandemic, report says. Yeah.
1 year ago today. And of course, a lot of people read that and quite likely thought, oh, Joe, what are you so worried about? There's no problem. It's fine. And one of those people, in fact, went on to become the president of the United States. And just to compare what he was talking about, do you have his?
I do love some of these, like Creepy Joe, the scare tactics and fear mongering doesn't work anymore. We, the people, are a lot smarter than you. Trump 2020 from Dan Mull 64774209.
Good work, Comrade Mueller.
And when you go, he's barely tweeted since that point. Like,
fascinating.
Just
we'll be hearing more from Comrade Mueller or whatever his new sock puppet is in the next week.
Yeah. Let's get the other one up here. And that same day,
here's what the Republican candidate had to say.
President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. To Tim, the button on the iPhone was far better than the swipe.
Oh, America. Oh, America. So, we all know which fellow's view carried the day. And here we are. And now, with that perspective, we can talk about the numbers.
Let's
and they might make
numbers. And not only are there people saying that he was fear-mongering, there's also recent replies in the tweets there saying, oh, so you knew about coronavirus before it happened. Like
there's never been a pandemic ever in the history of the world before the coronavirus.
Literally,
the fake coronavirus.
Yeah, he's literally
Wuhan
quoting
virus.
an article that points out they're not ready, and all these experts say you need to be ready. Like... All right. World numbers are up to 43.3 million cases. That is up 3 million. We were at 40.3 last week. That is a slight increase.
Still growing about 7% a week.
Yeah, not good. 1.16 million deaths. It's 1.158, but we rounded up. That is another 40,000 deaths. Again, it was 40,000 death increase the week before as well.
Yeah.
In international news, France has passed 1 million cases. How are they doing overall? Let's take a look at. I've got that.
Pull up some France numbers.
Not well. France is 5th in the world. Yeah. That's not good at all. Total cases, USA leads the world with 8.889 million, India with 7.9, Brazil 5.3, and then we drop down to the ones. Russia at 1.5 million. I have seen some articles that are very much questioning Russia's numbers, though, that they're doing information security and not telling people the truth.
Well, there are lots of videos and images leaked of bodies in sheets just being stacked up in places where you don't ordinarily see bodies.
Yeah, and you don't have to do that if your weekly new deaths is, as they report, 229. I really think Russia's much, much worse off than they're claiming. And then after Russia, we've got France at number 5, 1.138 million. Spain is also in the million club, as is Argentina and Colombia. Peru.
You got a graph there you can throw up?
It's not a graph, but I can
to show all the folks at home.
I can show this list. This is from worldmeters.info/coronavirus.
All right.
Let's just share that.
Nowu asks, what's going on with Belgium and Czech Republic? Scary growth. Indeed. Yeah. Right now is definitely in the middle of its second wave. It is now, in terms of new cases, as a whole, ahead of the U.S., although the U.S. is rapidly catching up as its growth spikes to vertical. The U.S. broke its own daily case record on Thursday, hitting 77,000 new cases, and it broke it on Friday with 83,000 new cases. We await the Monday data, but of course, here at home, we're not that far behind in terms of record-breaking case growth. Certainly in British Columbia, that's what we're seeing. We'll have a graph for that for you in a second.
So this one is total cases per 1 million population. We've got some relatively small populations here up at the top. Andorra, 52,000 per 1 million. Now that's only 4,000 cases, but there's only 77,000 people on the island of Andorra. Or Andorra's an island, aren't they?
I
think. Anyway,
social studies is too far in the rearview mirror, man.
Qatar, Bahrain, Aruba, French Guiana. Then we get down to Israel with a 9 million population, and they are at 33,000 cases per million, 309,000. And USA is number 11 on this, which is just terrifying because their total number is 331 million, right? They're
a gigantic country.
This bunch of matches that just keeps making more matches in this country of matches. You're all match heads. Here it comes. It is just Andorra is a sovereign landlocked microstate on the Iberian Peninsula. Oh, it's almost an island.
So the opposite of an island, I think, is what the folks at home are saying.
But a peninsula is almost an island.
On the French Spain. Apparently,
but it's landlocked.
We know the least. We know the least about Andorra of everybody in the audience. So this is where they all just sign off.
I'm looking
and
up.
Suddenly realize.
Here we go.
That they've given us way too much of their time on Sunday night for the last.
We're doing it. This is how you look. Oh, look at that! Look at it. It's so wee, Rob. It's so wee. Okay, we have to hold on.
Okay, the real question. Okay, why is Andorra? And no doubt there is going to be some bizarre reason from medieval history that has to do with some duke or something.
All right, come on, Andorra. Load up, baby. Here we go. Oh, there it is there. Okay. So it's
bounded by a highway.
It's very beautiful. Is that a highway? It is a highway. The
highway around Andorra.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Not an island. Today I learned. And it's right between France and Spain? Okay.
Yep.
So you had France up there, Spain there, Andorra right there. How did they stay? Someday we will learn the history of Andorra. It's gonna happen. Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's.
And not surprisingly, the fact that it is the opposite of an island gives it outrageous case numbers, since it probably has almost no ability to control the inflow of new cases.
And when France and Spain send their people to Andorra, they're not sending their best. They're sending the unmasked. I don't know where I was going with that. We're still not even through our numbers. USA, 8.9 million cases, as mentioned. That's up 500,000 new cases. And 230,000 deaths. That's up 5,000. It's not good. It's not good. They broke on Thursday, they broke their one-day case record with 77,000 new cases. And then on Friday, they broke that record again with 83,000 new cases.
Oh, baby.
And the state of North Dakota, which is where Sturgis was held, is now the second highest global infections per capita in the world.
Behind the Czech Republic.
Behind the Czech Republic, who are just... They were doing so well. Their initial, like you look at, here, I'll just share this one. We've got this graph of the Czech Republic here, and you'll notice their first little lump. Whoops. This is their first wave here down in mid-March into April. Little tiny bump. And they're like, nah, we know how masks work and social distancing. We've
That's true. The Czech Republic was really, really early and aggressive with masks. People would make them, hang them on trees, hang them on fences.
Yeah.
They were just out there available to the public. And kawammo.
And
I'm not sure what's going on.
Something happened at the beginning of July, and then it just went...
The takeoff started in August, it looks like, or late July.
Yeah, it just...
And they just never... And now it's spiking vertical.
This is a 7-day rolling average. This is per million people, so we're at over 1,000 per million. So,
You're right.
0.1% new. So what? Yeah, 0.1% of their population each day is a new case, and that's just rising. Like, that's another thing. Even if it leveled off here and went straight across, boop, it'd still be every day. 1/10 of their population getting it. Awful.
Doesn't look like it's under control just yet.
No. This is bad news for us. It's bad news for the world. Bad news for Czechoslovakia. Where else are we at? Trump super spreader event is up to 43 cases.
More on that later.
Canada.
More on that later.
We felt pretty good about Canada. Now we're both, Rob and I, in our little pre-show discussion, we're a little, come on, fellow Canadians. And actually, I was talking about increasing my own security measures. I have I've had a whole roommate thing going on. My new roommate's great, but because he's great, it means we're hanging out now. But I think we're going to have to get to, since he actually goes out into the world, we're going to have to mask up when we interact, which is going to be weird wearing a mask in the house, but I think it's just going to have to happen. Yeah. So we're at 216,000 cases. That is 18,000 new cases in Canada, and we are at 9,946 deaths. That is a new 186 since last week's show.
Yeah.
We are third in deaths among industrialized nations with population less than 20 million. What is it? Less than 20 million? We have greater than 20 million. There we go. That's greater than.
Behind Italy and the UK. So
yeah.
Canada, we're not doing as great as we like to tell ourselves.
And like,
that's kind of a common Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Well, we're not as bad as America, so we're actually very, very good.
Right. No. And also, why not be great? Why not be amazing at fighting coronavirus? Like, that's the one thing where I'm like, granted, it's not going to grow out of control, et cetera, but what if we do even better so that even less of us get it? Why not?
Everybody wins.
So, also in the numbers, Spinco, who we've mentioned a few times, they are now up to 85 cases from a Spinco class. Don't go to a gym. Get your exercise outside.
Even though outside or at home.
Or at home.
Sign up for online fitness classes, YouTube videos. Stay fit. That's important.
Yeah. Walking is good too. Like, you might think, I don't want to go jogging in the cold weather. Bundle up, go for a walk, do it a little longer, the same distance that you would jog, and you'll burn pretty much the same calories as you would from a jog. It'll just take you longer. So just do that. Walk that jog or walk that run. Listen to a podcast or something. And also, Rob, this link says, and now a Hamilton basketball club has an outbreak.
Yeah, so Spinco's in Hamilton. So Hamilton just seems to be like many, many places. We're about to look at some BC stats. Not only is the Spinco outbreak up to 85, but now a basketball club has an outbreak. So apparently there was an intramural basketball league in Hamilton that, well, has now been zapped. But Spinco better watch out, because now that the Rose Garden Super Spreader event's up to 43, they're coming for you.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know who's going to stay ahead. But we're going to be watching this story. It's going to be Spinco versus the Rose Garden.
Yeah.
The race to the finish.
And we have BC's increases here broken down with a pretty good.
Yeah. Now this one's interesting. So
we've got the first one.
Two ways of looking at the data. That blue spiking graph is Fraser South, which for those who don't know, those are the cities of Surrey and Delta. All of BC is broken up into health regions, and the largest health region is Fraser Health, and Fraser Health is divided into a bunch of sub-regions. For reasons we don't understand, Surrey and Delta just have skyrocketing cases. Some regions, are obviously they're showing a little bit of an increase. Vancouver itself is actually flat, maybe even ticking down a little bit, but the overall picture is not a good one. I think that gray line is Fraser North, so which also is showing some increases. And Fraser East, the other climbing brown line, again, they've shown a tripling of their cases. And if we show the data the other way, that second graph.
The second graph, yeah. What region am I in, Rob? Where's Burnaby located in these?
You're in Fraser Health, because Fraser Health starts at Boundary Road. So Burnaby's in Fraser Health. So Fraser West would be you guys.
South, north, east, west. I don't see Fraser West on here.
So sorry, Fraser North. Yeah, so Fraser North is Burnaby, then Fraser South is Surrey Delta. Okay. Fraser East is everything over the Port Mann Bridge.
Okay, so mine's sure.
And we got some insight from Nowu. I think Dr. Henry mentioned that Fraser South has a lot of workers. That's interesting. Something. There's got to be something explaining this.
Sorry, you broke up there, Rob. A lot of what workers?
Frontline workers.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right, so are the Fraser areas rural or suburban? Fraser East is semi-rural, so it would be smaller cities and towns. Like, it's not even really that rural, but it's going to encompass rural areas. So Abbotsford, Chilliwack, which are about 80, 100,000, all the way out to like Agassiz, Harrison, which are going to be small towns of under 10,000. So, and then lots of farmland in the middle. But Fraser North and Fraser South are essentially urban. Fraser South, though, does have quite a bit of agricultural land reserve farmland, but by and large, the bulk of the population is going to be Surrey and Delta, which together I think are around 1 million people. So
we've mentioned Richmond before. This magenta right here. Very large Chinese population and very much a culture of mask wearing, and it really looks
masks
like...
avoiding. So there was information because a lot of folks in Richmond still maintain contact with folks back home, whether that's Hong Kong or China. There was a lot of information from there early on saying this thing absolutely is airborne. And the malls in January were empty in Richmond. It was surreal. It was so unusual that there were like stories in the news of photographs of empty food courts in malls in Richmond. And, well, to the victor go the spoils. They got on the masks early. They got out of crowded indoor spaces early. And Richmond's doing extremely well. So, when I got to go to IKEA because I need some prefab pine in my life, I go to Richmond IKEA, where everybody wears a mask and everybody stays apart, and nobody's pissy about it. It's just lovely.
Yeah, nice stuff. All right, let's get that off. There we go. What else we got?
last or mentions, I've heard Toronto has gone up as well. Yes, Ontario is exploding. Quebec is exploding. BC is now, I think, number 3, or it's between us and Alberta. So Canada is not doing as well as it was in the summer when we had our cases flat as well. But this is something that a lot of the public health agencies talked about, which was this idea that there would be a summer lull and cases would start to skyrocket in the winter as we all began congregating indoors again.
Moving on to news. We're done with the numbers.
So these are some fabulous new billboards that have recently appeared. I don't know if they're in Times Square or near Times Square. Maybe a ski meal has gone by them. If you can tell us if you've seen them. Here's Jared Kushner from a Vanity Fair interview on September the 17th, 2020. New Yorkers are going to suffer, and that's their problem. And then beside that, we've got a lovely image. Yeah, so here's a larger picture of the entire... yeah, are those body bags at the bottom? I'm not sure what I mean, they certainly they could be meant to symbolize. Yeah.
I believe that's what those are. Yeah.
To see it. Yeah. Get your ass down. Be able to lay eyes on these live would be glorious. So there's a second one there beside Jared of Ivanka. And that's the pose she was holding when she was advertising the beans. And it shows that as of early last week, the total number of dead New Yorkers are in the neighborhood of around 33,000, and then against 222,000 dead Americans. Obviously, those numbers are high, particularly the American one. Oh, don't, babe, you'll catch ocular COVID-19. Can I get it twice? In both eyes, yeah. All right. Calling it cute couple of the week right there in the chat.
Aren't they sweet the way that they don't give a shit about people dying?
Oh, not Jared and Ivanka. Ischemial and Skemmy Lover.
Oh. Okay. I didn't get your reference. I'm sorry.
So, of course, Jared and Ivanka being ultra-wealthy elitist pricks have done what ultra-wealthy elitist pricks always do when they don't like the message, is try to sue their way out of it. So they've threatened a lawsuit. They sent a cease and desist letter to the Lincoln Project, and the Lincoln Project has had a lovely response, which will. It looks like Joe's grabbing that link to put in the chat, basically saying, "Sorry, kids. Thanks to gross nepotism, you're now public figures, and you don't get the same rules that private folks get anymore. Haha, suck it. See you at Discovery, if you decide to go there." The whole letter is worth reading. It's lovely. I toothy legal writing once in a while. I wouldn't make a steady diet of it, but a little bit once in a while as a treat is okay. And it's not even that long of a letter, especially if you just skip the footnotes, which are the legal precedents, and this is where this was stated, and here are the footnotes. So they've argued on multiple fronts that you're public figures, so you don't get the same rights as private citizens. In fact, what we're saying is completely accurate. Haha.
Yeah.
And they made weird claims. Like, Ms. Trump never made any such gesture, but in fact, she did endorse a commercial product in July, posting a picture of herself holding that can of beans, which I forget the
caption. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
If it's Goya, it has to be good. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
We may not get actual justice, but we can get mockery, and that's okay. That's not okay. But we'll take whatever tiny drop of water we get in this gross desert of horror.
Just remember that once the election's over, the Lincoln Project goes back to being your enemies. Like,
That's right. They're great right now, but don't fool yourselves, right? January 20th after 12 o'clock. Okay, thanks, Lincoln Project.
yeah, they will
See
be the
ya.
ones trying to pull Biden to the right if he wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you notice you're not hearing much from the rush to get ACB into the Supreme Court. You're not hearing a word about that. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled.
Yeah.
Other news: there was some information that came out of the Toronto Star last week, indicating that a lot of folks are showing up with much more advanced cancers than are being used to being seen in cancer clinics. And if you recall, through the spring and the summer, a lot of people were afraid of going to hospitals, and so they were riding it out at home. And even emergency rooms were like, okay, we're used to seeing X number of heart attacks a week, X number of strokes a week. We're seeing numbers way, way down there. The only reasonable explanation is there are people at home having heart attacks, people at home having strokes, and they're just not coming in. Same thing with cancer. People who would ordinarily get caught sooner, diagnosed, and put onto treatment sooner are waiting until their malignancies are primary tumors are larger, the malignancies are much more advanced. And this is another consequence of the pandemic, that people are frightened and staying away from healthcare because they're afraid of the virus and ending up in pretty deep trouble in some instances. In this case, it's patients who've been putting off cancer care, unfortunately. And I suspect, even though this isn't the Star, this isn't the only place where this is happening. So again, if you have medical needs, get them addressed, right? Clinics are being safe, hospitals are being safe. There are ways to treat you that reduce the risk as much as possible. And there are some serious diseases that people have that are much more immediately dangerous than the coronavirus. If you've got crushing chest pain, call an ambulance. Don't walk it off.
I'll be fine.
That's my first medical editorial for the night.
Okay. You're first. First of many. It's time for the delicious story.
Oh my God.
The one that
this
Rob
is
has
from
been-
another planet. Yeah, so you all remember Michael Caputo, who makes a semi-regular crosses our desk, crosses the wire, has crossed the wire a couple times. Most recently, episode 27, when we showed that Facebook stream that he made to all his fans, talking about left-wing death squads and assassination threats and the country collapsing into civil war if Trump loses the election. Well, he's gone on to friendlier matters. Up until very recently, there was, I kid you not, a $250 million campaign proposed to use mall Santas, yes, shopping mall Santas, to promote the coronavirus vaccine. And the way they were going to do that was by offering them early access to the vaccine. So we give you the vaccine, and you pimp the vaccine with little kitties on your knee. Doesn't matter if you want a Red Ryder double action single carbine BB rifle.
You'll put your eye out.
But while you're getting treated for that eye you've put out, have you considered the importance of the coronavirus vaccine? Ho, ho, ho.
That's the...
And there's the beautiful thing is there's this pull quote from the article. If you and your colleagues are not essential workers, I don't know what is, Mr. Caputo said on the call, which was recorded by Mr. Irwin and provided to the Wall Street Journal. I cannot wait to tell the president, Mr. Caputo said at another point about the plan. He's going to love this. Mr. Irwin said on the call, since you would be doing Santa a serious favor, Santa would definitely reciprocate. Mr. Caputo said, and I quote, I'm in, Santa, if you're in. Well, unfortunately, the plug got pulled on that.
So his line, if you're not essential workers, I don't know what is. he's right. He doesn't know what essential workers are. Mall Santas are not essential workers. Like, if anything, they would be a lined-up super spreading event if those Santas were not vaccinated. Like,
You're gonna
imagine he leads it close to every single. Now, whisper in Santa's ear what you want for Christmas as he's blah blahing over the kid like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild, and it brings back. There's a journalist who I follow, Josh Marshall, who's the editor of the Talking Point memo, and he came up with his own version of Occam's razor called Trump's razor, which is that if you're trying to understand why Trump has said or done something that he has said or done, it is almost certainly the case that the stupidest possible explanation is the truth. And again and again, who came up with the Santa plan? Stupid people. That's who came up with the Santa plan.
Yeah.
What amazes me is that it didn't go forward. Who decided not to spend $250 million campaign to have mall Santas pimping the vaccines that don't exist yet and won't until after Christmas?
It's just like the worst season of The Apprentice. Like, it's just fucking doughheads trying to market their non-existent product of whatever the vaccine is. And
so, quite a spectacular example of Trump's razor. The only piece I can't figure out is how this plan got stopped.
Yeah, I think, there's a movie or maybe even a TV series in there somewhere about the brave government workers who have pulled off, like, getting in the way of these colossal clusterfucks with, like, super clever, subtle maneuvers to, like, shut them down because of, I don't know, some kind of redirection to paperwork that needs to get done, right? Yeah. Oh, wow.
Good job, Mall Santas.
Yeah.
Okay. Nanaimo bathtub race update, by which I don't mean the Nanaimo bathtub race, but I mean school closures in British Columbia. The first bathtub is down. Kelowna School closes until November 4th due to a COVID-19 outbreak. L'École de Lens au Sable. I'm assuming that's a French immersion school. And they have closed down. That's in a small city in the middle of BC called Kelowna. I believe about 250,000 people, maybe 200,000. I'd have to look it up to be sure. But around these parts, that counts as a medium-sized city in a province of 5 million people.
Yeah.
And 11 people tested positive. So ultimately, it was a staff shortage. So 11 positive tests, 160 isolated. We'll see if that goes anywhere. We'll keep keeping an eye on that story. I got a feeling that's not going to be the last school. That is not the last bathtub.
11 staff and students, like, at the school, and how long were they interacting before they went, oh, you 11? Like,
the fact that 160 are isolating is suggestive that there was a lot of swirling.
And, like,
a lot of swirling going on.
And again, so we've got that little bunch of matches going off. But how many of them went home and then lit other little batches of matches, which then went out from there? And oh, wow.
Yep. Here we are.
Wow.
School's important.
Yeah.
Not getting a life-changing virus, also important.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you want to set this next one up for us, Joe?
Oh, the video. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a video that has made is an international viral sensation from right here in Vancouver. Some folks got into an argument on a bus in Vancouver, and as it was heating up verbally, somebody decided to start filming, and this is what they filmed.
Hey, come on.
Hey, yo, chill. Hey, chill. Hey, chill it. Oh my God.
What's wrong with you is he got spit on. I think that was a fair response. Is this going to be slow-mo?
I think it's just the slow-mo version. So I think he was
Come on.
challenging her about not wearing a mask,
Oh my God.
and at some point she decides to spit on him, right on his face,
Yeah.
and she found herself on the sidewalk.
Yeah, fair. I think that was fair. I don't think she needed to get hit any more than that. But I think getting her off the bus and away from other people quickly and maybe giving her a little bit of a skinned knee was that was a fair result from her spitting on somebody.
That's pretty gross. I try to imagine, how would I react in that situation, and I can see versions of myself where the red mist takes over.
Yeah, I would. It looked to me like that guy thought it through, right? He didn't punch her. He didn't try to damage her. He just pushed her out of the bus hard.
You're getting off the bus now,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna make it happen.
and I can understand the desire to do more, but I like if I'm the judge and one of them is calling for some kind of charge for assault, I'd be like, you both assaulted each other. It's even now, right? She spit on you. That's awful. You pushed her off the bus and she skidded on the ground. That's bad too. So now you're done.
I'm guessing he won't have a problem finding a pro bono defense lawyer
Yeah,
if it
fair.
does come to a charge.
Yeah. But spitting on somebody is assault. That is established in law. You that's assault if you spit on somebody.
You're allowed to defend yourself.
And you're allowed to defend yourself when somebody assaults you. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
Sounds like
there could totally be arguments that one is worse than the other. But I think what's fair now is to go, yeah, she was an asshole, you pushed her hard, you're done.
Yeah.
All right.
So, other big news today. I don't know if you heard it, but essentially the United States government formally surrendered to the coronavirus in a brief ceremony on the White House lawn. We have not so exclusive video here for you. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows announcing the surrender.
So Chief of Staff, so this is the guy, he's like the guy in West Wing who's always talking to the president, right?
We're not going to control the pandemic. We are going to control the fact that we get vaccines, therapeutics, and other mitigation areas because it is a contagious virus, just like the flu. Well, we are making efforts to contain it, and that's what we need to do is make sure that we have the proper mitigation factors, whether it's therapies or vaccines or treatments, to make sure that people don't die from this. But to suggest that we're going to actually quarantine all of America, lock down our economy, well, that they are. Joe Biden's saying that. He says lock everybody down. We're going to have a dark winter. We're going to have a dark winter.
That's not the dark winter, Mark Meadows.
No, that's Joe Biden's. The health officials did not say dark winter. Those were Joe Biden's words. When we look at the when we look at the number of cases increasing, what we have to do is make sure that we fight it with therapeutics and vaccines, take proper mitigation factors in terms of social distancing and masks when we can. And when we look at this, we're going to defeat it, Jake, because we're Americans. We do that, and this president is leading while Joe Biden is sitting there suggesting that we're going to mandate masks.
Say that first sentence again.
Yeah.
We're not going to control the pandemic. We are going to control the fact that
we're not going to control the pandemic.
So
the United States surrenders to the coronavirus.
Yeah, I totally, and I partway through that, I figured out what his viewpoint on this is and why he's so upset that other people don't agree. Because as he's saying, we're not going to control it. Instead, we're going to have all the treatments. We're going to have all the drugs and eventually a vaccine and stuff. That's a rich guy plan. That's a plan for him and his butt,
sure.
right? Because we already, Chris Christie got it, and then he got the $1.5 million super, not interferon, the monoclonal Regeneron. That's right. So they get the super if you get it, you get it bad, you get the super expensive treatment. And that's what he's saying. He's like going, look, it's worked for Trump and it's worked for Chris Christie. Us rich guys will be fine. We're just going to have these super expensive treatments. It'll be okay. And fuck everybody else is the unsaid part of that. Like,
why should I bother with the $1.5 mask on my face when I can get the $1.5 million monoclonal antibody mix?
Yeah.
My freedom.
Well, my freedom as a rich guy, as a rich white guy, right? Like if you're like a rich white guy who can afford that treatment, should you need it, and you're also believing, look, the chances are I'll get it and it won't be that bad. But if it is that bad, I can afford the treatment. And so that's all it takes is just, I'll catch it. And if I need it, I'll get the treatment. And if not, I'll be fine and I'll be immune. Like our glorious president. And in the meantime,
we're not going to control the pandemic.
Yeah, among the non-wealthy populace. That's what he's adding that on at the end. Among the non-wealthy populace, we're not gonna. You people have to go to work. You don't get protected, and you also don't get to have these treatments that I'm talking about.
Yeah. Sigh. Okay. Now, why might we have a dark winter? It's time to look at Science Roundup.
Just all I'm doing is sharing. Oh, this is a video too. Okay.
Is it a video?
Okay. There's multiple things. There's pictures.
Yeah,
too.
there's a really nice. If you can put up
hold
basically that diagram, that would be really.
Okay, you like the.
So.
Shit, but look at.
Well, I guess we can show those videos. Yeah. So this is a comparison of how well
Twitter can encode video. Look at it. What the hell's going on?
So this is video of mouse airway, mucus production, and clearance of foreign particles under nice humid conditions versus not humid conditions. So that's the nice humid one right there.
That's humid. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so that's nice clearance, and then this is dry. So a lot fewer particles getting cleared. Tracks in general going a lot slower. And the basic idea is in the winter when there's less in the air, because the air gets colder and it can't hold as much moisture. The mucus in our airways gets thinner. So you see on the left, we've got that nice thick mucus. Trapped particles stay on the mucus. They don't make it down to the cell layer. And those little hairs, the cilia, sweep the particles up. It's called the mucociliary escalator. Well, in the winter, that mucus layer gets thin, so there's a lot more contact with respiratory epithelium, and therefore a lot more opportunities to invade and become infected. And this right here is generally why wintertime is respiratory virus season, because there's less humidity, you've got less mucus in your lungs, and it's just easier for viruses to infect you. So this virologist is advocating as part of a campaign, keep your relative humidity. If you can control your keep it over 50, ideally over 60%, as a way of combating infectious risk.
So that would be
trying to
a
keep
humidifier
humidity in the air. Well, it could be a humidifier, although those, if you're not cleaning your, comes with infectious risks of its own. But you certainly don't want to be dehumidifying the air.
Right. So maybe I should just be boiling a pot of water on the stove every once in a while.
That is, I guess that's something that would be very old timey, but that is a thing that people used to do. You can put the old hood over and inhale from the pot, right?
Oh yeah, Yeah. I remember that when clearing out my just totally plugged up head as a youth. Yeah, for sure. That
It
and
works, right?
and you put some Vicks Vapo Rub in the hot water. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, I love it. I want to do it now. It's been so long. Anyway, interesting.
Brings you back.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
does my asthma and the fact that it produces extra mucus in my lungs all the time actually protect me? It's probably.
Possibly not, because that mucus is just going to dry up, and you're just going to end up with mucus plugging,
Oh.
which happens to people with asthma. And so then the mucus plugging is part of the problem. Why you can't get good air exchange across all the area of your lung, because little pockets of lung are blocked off with mucus plugs.
Nobu asks, would a humidifier at home protect you later when you're at Costco? I mean, I guess so. Like you build up your you build up your mucus in your lungs with the nice moist air, and then you go to Costco, and it probably takes a while for it to go away in the dry air, right?
But how long is a while? I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows.
Yeah.
Could be pretty fast. I mean, your lungs, if we were to actually lay them out flat, lay out all the air exchanging, gas exchanging area, it's the size of a tennis court. So it does not take long to evaporate off a surface that large.
All right, we got
good question. No answer.
This is kind of some numbers as well. This one here. This is the thing that scares me.
Another example of here's how exponential growth works, folks.
We've been talking about this a lot, like with the matches metaphor, and just the more people that are infected, the more it will spread.
Get infected.
Yeah, the more we'll get infected, and you can see here in the days to an extra 10 million, right? The first 10 million took 176 days. The next one took 44 days. And then it slowed down a little, right? Because people started reacting. 37 days, 31 days. Those numbers should be increasing, right? Like until they start
or flat,
or
right. If R 0 is 1, the reproductive number is 1, then the time to get from 10 to 20, 20 to 30.
Just increase until we get to 0, like until it can't reach there. Yeah.
But when R0 goes below 1, then those. But that's not what's happening. Trump is right. We have turned a corner on the coronavirus. Unfortunately, that corner is on the y-axis, and it's gone straight up.
Yeah.
Little medical math joke.
Hilarious. Deaths are hilarious, as is long-term damage to your heart. It's a song I'm working on.
And your brain, and your kidneys.
And
possibly your liver, and maybe your balls.
I use most of those organs still.
I imagine.
Fuck that kidney, though. I don't need it. It's useless.
An exercise to the audience to guess which one of those organs.
I'm so sad.
Now, interesting. One thing that we haven't talked about a ton, but for every detected case, it's estimated that there are probably 9 or 10 going undetected. So when we say that there are 40 million detected cases, that means potentially 400 million cases actually happening around the world. And at current rates of growth, as soon as we surpass 100 million cases, then potentially we're looking at 1 billion cases. And that's not out of reach based on current rates of case acceleration. That's not out of reach for the new year. Yeah. Exciting stuff.
This is the spooky season, and that was pretty spooky.
Yeah.
Are we on track for billions of that's not the link. Hold on. Where?
Should be the link, isn't it?
Did
I grab the wrong link?
Yeah, it's the wrong link. It's because the link is actually doubling time.
It's further down. Here's the link. I got it. It's further down the thread with the red and the blue graph.
Oh, there it is. I got
The audience will have it before Joe has it. Boom.
Burns. Let me
And the quote,
share
the money quote, I know that
that.
billions of infections by early 2021 sounds implausible, but that's the wonder of exponential growth. We're currently well above 400,000 counted cases globally each day. At 5 to 10% case identification fraction, that's 4 to 8 million infections. It adds up.
Yep. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. So smooth cases versus raw cases, and off we go. We're going to find out. So what I want, I want the same thing from Santa that Michael Caputo wants. I want a vaccine. I just hope I don't have to spend $250 million to get it.
Well, so this is kind of a good news graph. I like this. I like that we finally get to show after all this darkness.
Yeah. Little bit of science came out of Carnegie Mellon last week on masks. And on the x-axis, percent wearing masks in public most or all the time. On the y-axis, percent who know someone with COVID-19 symptoms. And what do you know? The higher the percentage of public mask wearing, the lower the likelihood you know somebody with coronavirus symptoms. Masks work. Wear a mask.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a pretty solid trend right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, like not 100%, but like we say with why don't you do what, like I said earlier, why don't you do better with COVID? What we're really doing is just lowering that number, that chance of you getting it as much as possible. I remember we had, oh no, that's our good thing of the week was the Chris Christie quote. I'll wait until we get to that. I like this though. That's a good graph. Hooray for that graph. Hooray for masks.
Yeah, we kind of have a theme. We got a theme for our good thing of the week.
Yeah. And then disinformation / scams.
No.
Let's not share this. We can just walk through it. I'll give them the link. There's the link.
Sure.
So in our disinformation section, this is a really great article from Scientific American. We've talked about most of this.
Yeah, we've talked about all of these, and we constantly part of the reason we started this show was in anticipation of disinformation and wanting to be an anti-disinformation source, also known as an information source.
Information source. Yeah.
Information. That's what we want.
So number one, the virus was engineered in a laboratory in China.
We want information. Why did you resign? Sorry, it's an old callback to The Prisoner for any fans of 60s art house television. Yeah. So the virus was not engineered in a lab in China. People believe it because it is part of a constant disinformation campaign, and it allows people who spread that to deflect attention away from their own actions, particularly government-level actors. Couldn't possibly be...
Even if it were true, wear a mask, practice social distancing, wash your hands. Why do they have to say that and also not want to wear masks?
Right?
Yeah.
That's the Asian cultural virus, is distancing, masks, hand washing.
That's a good culture, if you ask me.
Right? Because frankly, yeah, Southeast Asia was on top of that, way ahead of us.
And listen,
way ahead of us.
If I know one thing about, quote, white culture, it's all about stealing the good stuff from other cultures. So let's keep doing that.
Or just stealing, period.
I mean, yeah, stealing, period. We're a culture of thieves.
Right.
I mean, there's no such thing as white culture. I hope hope everybody gets that I recognize that. Like, white culture is bullshit. Like, white just means people aren't going to treat me racist. That's all it means. It's a group of different cultures that got together and went, let's all pretend that we're the same because our skin's the same looking, sort of. But like, yeah, there's no such thing as white culture. Except for maybe the stealing thing. It's the common.
maybe.
It's the common trait.
You can be Scottish and be proud, but you can't really be white and be proud.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I 100% be proud of being Scottish, be proud of being Irish if you really want. And those cultures have some great stuff. But like white, like it's been like redefined constantly over like Italians used to not be white in America.
The Irish also used to
Right?
not be white.
The Irish were also not white. Now they're about as white as you can get because
Right.
because I don't know, because they joined in on the stealing culture. Is that it? That's not what this show's about. We're not experts, but we get it enough like that. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm sorry. I just needed to sidetrack into that. Yeah, they're still not sure
Number
if
two.
Jews are white or not. Number 2, COVID-19 is no worse than the flu.
Oh, well, we learned pretty early that's not the case. 10 to 20 times the fatality rate of the flu.
Yeah.
15% in large studies now showing carrying chronic symptoms, including lung scarring. Flu doesn't do anything like that. I mean, the flu is associated with significant morbidity, mortality. People with flus can get heart attacks. They can get strokes. That's why we recommend flu vaccines every year. But here's a disease that's 10 to 20 times more fatal than the flu. We've never needed to bury people in mass graves in Central Park because of the flu, except for the Spanish influenza epidemic of 1918. Even that flu wasn't the flu. It became the flu. It became less virulent over time, and now is just known as influenza subtype H1N1. But coronavirus, not just the flu.
Number 3, you don't need to wear a mask.
Yeah. So this, I think, was there was some legitimacy to the idea of, do masks work? Do they not work? But pretty rapidly, I think the CDC by March, late February, early March, came to consensus that actually masks are important, an important barrier to infection prevention. Canadian public health agencies agreed, but wouldn't mandate masks. So they would say things like, yes, masks are a measure you can take. So I think for whatever reason, in Canada especially, we've been really soft on this whole mask thing. Even now, I do think in Ontario, they went with mask mandates, and I think that's been an issue in Quebec. Vancouver, of course, where there's never been a mask mandate, we have anti-mask demonstrations.
Yeah.
And when we, in the middle of our non-lockdown, we had an anti-lockdown protest. It's just like, what? So
It's the
that's BC, baby. We're from
it's the not affiliated with Reality Party is who's doing that. Yeah.
We're from the altered coast.
Yeah. The evidence is we looked at it a little earlier. The evidence on masks is solid. Yeah.
It is accumulated. It keeps accumulating, and every bit of evidence just strengthens the case. Maybe there was room for some legitimate uncertainty in February. There is no more. I mean, there are no scientists. There are no respiratory physicists, chemists, infectious disease specialists who are saying that masks don't make a difference. Only Twitter cranks at this stage and Facebook moms are the ones saying that masks don't make a difference. They absolutely make a difference.
Yep. Number 4, wealthy elites are using the virus to profit from vaccines. Well, even if that were true, not yet. Although, here's the thing, not vaccines, but I'm sure wealthy elites invested in remdesivir and in HCQ and like a lot of these bullshit claims, right? And that's why I think we got a lot of the bullshit claims.
Here's a news flash for everybody, and I'm going to pull the mic real mouth just to make this clear, get the Rudolph nose going. Wealthy elites profit off of everything.
Yeah. That's a separate problem we're going to have to fix outside of this fucking pandemic. And if you want to fix it, I'm on board.
Right?
Let's get them.
Get the vaccine. And if Donald Rumsfeld makes $1, Donald Rumsfeld makes $1. But save your life.
Just
don't die on principle.
Yeah.
Or not that principle.
Just tax the shit out of everybody who's doing ridiculously well because of the pandemic. That's just what you got to do. And then the money it's wealth redistribution. I have no problem talking about it. A whole bunch of people have become way, way wealthier during this pandemic, while a whole lot more people have become a lot poorer. Let's take it from the people doing fine and give it to the people who aren't doing fine, so that then everybody's doing fine and they're vaccinated, and then the economy starts up again. Anyway, all right, that was my rant.
Number 5.
Number 5.
This is the one. We've hit this one hard.
Yeah, it won't die. Hydroxychloroquine is an effective treatment. Bullshit.
Oh. It's just beautiful watching this complete avalanche of studies now coming in that hydroxychloroquine is bupkis. It doesn't help in severe disease. It doesn't help in moderate disease. It doesn't help in mild disease. It doesn't help in prevention.
And it's dangerous.
It's a really important drug. If you have lupus or certain other autoimmune disorders, it can even be life-saving, but it has no role in COVID-19.
But it's also dangerous, isn't it? The thing that...
Yes. Yes, if you take this drug improperly, it will kill you. It will kill you dead. It will give you a fatal heart rhythm. That's very hard to recover from. That's not something you can walk off.
I don't know why the nail in HCQ's coffin was not the fact that Donald Trump did not get HCQ.
Right. Yeah. Even the number one HCQ pimp, when push came to shove, didn't take HCQ.
No, I'm not going to get that. We'll pay for it.
Yeah.
No. Doesn't do anything, and I hear it's dangerous, and I'm an old man. I don't want my heart to explode. That's totally why. HCQ, Donald Trump didn't... Anybody tries to tell me it works? Donald Trump didn't take it.
Boom.
If it had a chance, he'd have taken it. 6 increases in cases are the result of increased testing.
Oh, this really just kind of goes back to what... Were you paying attention in math class in grade 7 when we talked about fractions and decimals? Did you pay attention at all? Like, if there's a parking lot full of cars in the dark and you can't see the cars, and you send somebody out to count the cars, if they keep counting, there's going to be more and more cars. The counting isn't causing the cars.
Yeah.
It's simply detecting them.
Yeah. This is not...
Oh, there's only 4 cars in the parking lot because I got cold and I came back in the house.
This is not the eternal champion carving reality out of chaos with his magic sword. The reality is there. The infected people are there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't... Like, the fact that anybody would hear that and go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now I'll be on his side. Like, I don't... That makes me weep for humanity. When
there was one very brief little conspiracy theory that led off of this, that some people were saying, well, the test swabs are loaded with the virus, and that's why the testing is causing the cases.
Right.
Like, so there were some people absolutely willing to stab themselves in the brain to make Donald Trump correct on this. And it is fascinating and horrifying.
The really amazing technology is that this virus works backwards through time, in that you get the test and infected, and that goes back in time to give you the symptoms that make you think that you should go in and get tested. Like that's the, like, they've got this time crossing bacterial or viral technology. I don't know how we can possibly stand up to such people with such impossible technology.
And the other thing that happens, too, when outbreaks really get going is the percentage of positive tests goes up and up and up and up, no matter how much you expand your testing, which is clear evidence that we're not keeping up with this thing. Yeah. And it's expanding more rapidly than we're able to test.
Yeah.
So, these things move independently of each other.
Yeah.
They've got nothing to do with each other. The cars are coming and going from the parking lot, whether or not you're counting them.
So number 7, herd immunity will protect us if we let the virus spread through the population.
Sigh. There's just so much to say about this. First. Go ahead, Joe. You got something there.
It's not protecting. if you let it go through the population. Sorry, go ahead.
First of all, herd immunity isn't a concept that exists with wild disease. So herd immunity only applies in a vaccinated population, and the herd is the vaccinated barrier that prevents the spread of the wild disease. Like we've talked about before, measles would be, if there was any virus you could get herd immunity against, it would be measles, because you can only get measles once and you have lifelong immunity after you catch it. And yet, before the era of the measles vaccine, there were about 1 million cases of measles. After the measles vaccine, and before the mid-90s, when Wakefield fucked everything up, measles cases had dropped like precipitously. There were many years in North where there were 0 cases of measles. That, my friends, is herd immunity. With the coronavirus, first of all, let's say everybody in the population does coronavirus. Well, first of all, that is going to be millions of deaths, right? Not this lightweight 230,000 stuff. We're talking millions. Second, we don't know how long you retain natural immunity to coronaviruses. So that thing could just keep circulating around and around and around and mowing down the population again and again and again each time it circulates. It's not like you got magical lifelong immunity after you get the coronavirus once. You can only give robust immunity through vaccination with targets on things that the vaccine can target in a way that if you're lucky, your antibodies will target. If you're unlucky, they won't. We don't all have the same kind of antibody responses unless we expose everyone to the same kind of antigen to guarantee the same kind of response to a vaccine.
Yeah.
So
just
go ahead.
Just on the face of it, like, oh, herd immunity, we'll just let everybody get it and we'll be fine. Like, no, but the idea is to make it so people don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's just the exact opposite of thinking. Like,
right.
Like, you need 60 to 70% of the people to get it, to get herd immunity. Like, as you point out, it doesn't happen naturally. Like, it just doesn't.
Right.
But, like, even if it did, you're still asking 60 to 70% of people to get it, which, as you noted, millions of deaths. Like, it's not, it's not a solution. That's all you're saying is, don't worry, it won't be the end of humanity. Some of us will live.
Yeah. Like, folks, we never developed herd immunity to measles.
No.
We never developed herd immunity to polio. We never developed herd immunity to diphtheria. These things were with us for hundreds and hundreds of years, millennia. And we just never, ever managed to get to herd immunity until vaccination.
Yep. Which leads us to number 8. I haven't heard this one very much, thankfully, but probably because we haven't picked one yet.
There's no vaccine yet, right?
Yeah.
So the anti-vaxxers haven't been able to beat this one.
But I'm sure this will be happening. A COVID-19 vaccine will be unsafe.
Now here I can kind of say, yeah, I can see legitimate worries about the vaccine because of the incredible amount of political interference in the FDA by the Trump administration. Trump absolutely wants to announce a vaccine before the election as something to turn his numbers around. He's got less than a Scaramucci of time left until that election. For those who don't know, that was, if you remember, Anthony Scaramucci was briefly his, was he his chief of staff or his press secretary?
Press secretary.
But he lasted 11 days.
Yeah.
And that unit of time came to be known as the Scaramucci. There's less than a Scaramucci left. As badly as El Presidente wants there to be a vaccine, it's just not happening. But the fact that he has been on record blasting so hard with the world's biggest bully pulpit, I think I can see how that might get people on the fence about this vaccine, feeling that there might be some kind of political interference. The good news is Anthony Fauci has pushed back. A lot of corporations have pushed back, and it's simply not the case. The vaccine is being developed rapidly, but it's also being developed safely. So,
and a bunch of them are, and I think I get the feeling like, especially with the pushback that we've seen the companies do on things like this, signing onto agreements and stuff. I feel like the companies all recognize that even if they were to win the vaccine race but then fuck it up because they didn't do it right, that would mean also the end of their companies. Like, they want to win the race, but you can't turn that victory into a Pyrrhic one where you then get sued by the rest of the population of the planet because you didn't actually do your due diligence and make sure that it worked or that it didn't cause some kind of side effect that was awful. Yeah. So I feel like they want to get this right.
Yeah, and we all really want them to get too.
Yeah.
My thought for Denialist of the Week, why don't we show the little CBS 60 Minutes clip first and then explain why?
What
happened afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
So
let's get ready. There he is.
We're back in the White House for Denialist Honors.
Here we go.
What about Thanksgiving? Should people feel safe to get together with their family, with their grandparents, with their aunts and uncles?
No.
Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays.
Me too.
And I'm looking forward to it with our family.
With extended?
I think that's a decision every American family can make based on the circumstances in their community, the vulnerability of particular family members. You know, one of the things we apprehended early on is that seniors, particularly those with serious underlying health conditions, are the most at risk for a serious outcome if they contract the coronavirus. And so families may make a decision that certain elderly family members might take a pass. But I think the difference between President Trump and me and some of the public voices in this debate over the last year has been, we trust the American people.
What about Thanksgiving?
Wait.
Should
he doesn't trust the American? Are you saying that President Trump doesn't trust the American people? Wait. I think the difference. Hold on.
I think the difference between President Trump and me and some of the public voices in this debate over the last year has been, we trust the American people.
Oh, so he's okay. No, I'm parsing it. He says, what's different between him and Trump, brackets,
right,
and some of the public voices is he and Trump trust the, okay. I thought he was saying Trump didn't trust. Okay. I parsed it right. It was full of that I'm talking slowly and picking my way through the conversation so that I don't step on landmines talk that politicians do. So he got to where he wanted to go in a weird way.
Right.
Okay. So there's that.
Yeah.
It didn't answer the question.
No. So the answer then, of course, is yes. Go have Thanksgiving with the folks at home.
Why can't you say people can make that decision themselves, but I would strongly urge you to not do it unless you absolutely have to? Why can't you do? Isn't that what politicians are supposed to do? Is pick that Weasley middle of the line, not really say anything, but you can still get it across.
But you see, but the president's had it now, and it's nothing to fear, and no one should fear it.
Just the old people who are coming to your Thanksgiving.
But there's still one neuron in Mike Pence's brain that inhabits reality and knows that this is a bad idea. So he has to say his weird gobbledygook.
Yeah.
But what did we learn today? We learned earlier today. The story came out pretty rapidly in two parts. So initially, we learned that 2 Pence aides tested positive, including his chief of staff, who, by the way, was one of the most anti-interventionists on the coronavirus. Nope, no mask mandates. Nope, we're not going to put any restrictions. Nope, no lockdowns. So the let the virus run wild advocate in chief has tested positive for the coronavirus. And later in the day, 3 more became positive.
Mm-hmm.
So there are now 5 cases around Mike Pence that are positive, which is the reason that the Rose Garden coronavirus super spreader event is now up to 43 cases. That's, by the way, 4 times the number of cases in all of Newfoundland. Where was I going with that? I think that's where I was going with that. So here he is on 60 Minutes. Oh, I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays. So here's a guy positive with the coronavirus right beside the vice president during the vice president debate. Mike Pence has refused to disclose his coronavirus status.
Isn't this the Wisconsin asshole? What's his name?
That's right, Walker.
Scott Walker.
That's right.
I hope he gets it bad.
Let's Scott Austerity Walker. And in response, Mike Pence has said he is not curtailing his public schedule. He is not reducing any of his public events. Congratulations, Michael Pence, Vice President of the United States. You are Viral Transmissions Nihilist of the Week.
That guy.
Well, now here's an interesting contrasting view from former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, who wrote Wall Street Journal.
I'll just put a link in. Or do you want me to? There's a video here. I don't know if that would. Do you want me to play?
Oh, is there a video of Christie?
I don't. It says WSJ opinion: the Obama-Biden virus response. I don't think that's the story.
That's probably a different thing.
Okay.
But yeah, he titled an editorial that he wrote, an opinion piece for the Wall Street Journal. I should have worn a mask. Yes, Chris, you should have worn a mask. We're glad you're alive. We're glad that you survived the coronavirus, and you're the one guy, the one white male conservative in America who came back from that experience and was like, "Oh, some mistakes were made."
But here's the thing. I mean, yes, he should have worn a mask. But more importantly for him anyway, everybody around him should have been wearing masks. That is the thing that's going to protect him from getting it, right? So his I should have worn a mask. I hope that I can't read the article because it's paywalled, but I hope that article says because I infected people I cared about. That's why he should have worn a mask. And it's true, that's why he should wear a mask. And we do know the mask will protect you a little bit from corona. I mean, obviously it's going to protect a bit, but it's mostly that if you have it, you should wear it so you don't infect others. So the people around him, like, it's almost, I feel like I can understand not giving a shit about yourself. Like I get it. I get that. I understand being like, I don't give a fuck if I catch this. I don't fucking let it take me. I'll fucking die. This world sucks anyway. It's fine. But like, you gotta wear that mask to fucking stop taking everybody else with you. Like,
yeah. But good on you, Chris Christie.
Yeah.
So does that mean you're now going to support the Joe Biden campaign for a reality-based science platform that's going to actually contain the pandemic?
His opinion.
Is that what that means?
His opinion's viable. He's said the truth. He's admitted he was wrong before about things. I feel like I have seen him. I feel like I have seen Chris Christie be awful, and then him go, "Oh, oops, that was wrong of me," before, and now here he is again. And like, didn't he called out Trump early on when Trump was running? Didn't he? He was running against Trump, wasn't he? And totally called him out, and then just totally bent the knee. Yeah, I don't fucking.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. His career should be over. I don't care. Let's move on to something good. I'm going to show.
All right, time for the good stuff. You guys have hung with us this
It's
long.
good stuff for the week. This is one, Rob has not heard this yet, but Rob is a big Werner Herzog fan. And this is about a year old. This is somebody interviewing Werner Herzog and then playing him a clip of comedian Paul F. Tompkins, who we're both big fans of, doing a Werner Herzog impersonation.
Your voice is part of the attraction.
Yes, and you can tell that it's very easy to make satires and to imitate my voice. You see, the internet is full of imposters.
Do you know there's a comic actor and writer, Paul F. Tompkins, who has done one? Do you know it?
No.
Let me play a bit for you and see what you think. This is him doing the character on Andy Daly's podcast.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I've just uploaded this review to Yelp. This is the Trader Joe's on Hyperion. Madness reigns. Inside, human beings scramble like beetles whose rock has been upended. Though the aisles are wide, it is impossible to avoid physical contact with your fellow shoppers. It is a grotesque parody of the bazaar at Marrakesh, as if dumb animals had been granted only the amount of sentience required to mock humanity. Be sure to get the dark chocolate peanut butter cups. They are right by the register.
What do you make of that?
Well, the accent could be better, but it's a very funny text. That's good stuff.
I thought so too. I thought so too.
What's his name?
Paul F. Tompkins.
My congratulations.
Your voice is part of the attraction.
Yes, and you can tell.
Oh, he took that well. I like it. And also just that I just love that, well, the accent could be better. And it's true. It's good, but it's not perfect. But yeah, the text. I love that it's just an honest review. Like, right? Like, steps back, doesn't worry that it's about him. Well, the accent could be better, but the text was quite good.
Yeah.
What
Here's
else?
some good news for all of us, folks.
Oh,
As you know, The Mandalorian Season 2 is coming.
Yeah.
And in honor of that,
this was
some video today.
This was Rob's choice. My mom. So while I'm queuing this up, let's. My mom. I love her. I love my mom. She's not really much of a nerd. You're right. Like, she's put up with me growing up being a huge nerd my whole life and stuff like that, and has known I've liked all that nerd stuff. My mother is also notorious for, if we will watch a movie together, she will pass out. Like not in the movie theater. Obviously, in the movie theater, she makes it. But she will just end up falling asleep on the couch. She'll just, she might just lie back in the chair and just be like this and be out, or in her comfy chair, or might turn sideways. Like, she might lie down like this to watch it, and then I'll look over and she'll be asleep. Last Christmas, I went to her place for our little Christmas gathering, and she stayed up through 5 episodes of The Mandalorian and is now an absolute Baby Yoda fan. Here we go. And there's Werner Herzog.
I would like to see the baby.
I would like to see the baby.
This is what was causing all the fuss?
I think it's a child.
What a precious little creature.
You ready to lay low and stretch your legs for a couple of months, you little womp rat?
What is that thing anyway? I don't know. Maybe Moth wants to eat it. I don't ask questions.
Ow! I have no idea if he wants to eat it
It's,
or hang it on his wall.
Jason Sudeikis is that stormtrooper. He's the guy from Ted Lasso.
This is the one that you hunted, then saved?
Yes, the one that saved me as well.
Come on, baby. Do the magic hand thing.
Is Disney giving us anything for this? We're just...
Stop touching things. What is it?
It is a foundling. It is in your care.
Here we go. You're welcome, Disney. I know that things are rough for you. So you're welcome for that free advertising. You giant corporation trying to force its people to work at its theme parks. Ugh.
But we want to see the baby. I mean, I hate how much I love Baby Yoda.
Yeah. And where's my mask? I don't know. We've all seen my mask before. It's a Mandalorian mask. I have still yet to meet a single person who has also worn a Mandalorian mask so that I could say this is the way to them. It hasn't. I haven't even had actually anybody go, hey, like that out in the wild. It's just been.
That's rough, man.
I know.
It's tough being a Mandalorian. They're very small, isolated pockets of them.
It's true.
Scattered around.
So many people don't recognize my Mandalorian mask, even though
they've had to rely on, pretty unsavory employment. Business opportunities to survive.
The Mandalorians will rise again. I have faith in Sabine Wren. I believe that she will get the Darksaber back from the bad guy, Moff. I can't remember his name in The Mandalorian. But yeah,
Con Hermanos Pollos.
Yeah. Moff Hermanos Pollos. By the way, we've mentioned Ahsoka Tano is going to be in this season of The Mandalorian. Ahsoka Tano being from Clone Wars and Rebels. But the rumor, Rob, is so is Sabine Wren.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is going to be a confrontation over that black saber.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. If you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars, you've got some homework, people. It's very pleasant homework, but there's quite a lot of it.
Well, I feel like it probably exists, but I feel like there needs to be a document for people who want to watch Clone Wars that literally goes, all right, you can skip all these episodes. Here's a summary of what happens, but then these ones are good. Because, Clone Wars is so hit or miss for me. There's so much of it I just really don't like. Rebels, much, much better. I'm sorry, we're nerding out now.
Moff Gideon says no.
Moff Gideon, that is the name. Thank you, Fred Bremer.
Not Moff Hermanos Pollos.
Moff Gideon. And that will start.
So I guess that's it. I think we've said our piece.
It will. We will have seen the first episode by next episode because it's Friday that episode 1 drops for The Mandalorian. So we'll see you next week at 7:00 p.m. to talk about all the stuff that's happened in the week leading up to The Mandalorian season 2 episode 1. Because that is the sparkling gem in a week full of shit, I think. Well, actually, we have some good news here in BC. We had our local BC provincial elections. That's another good stuff. Our progressive provincial party, the New Democratic Party, has won a majority victory. So they have 55 of, I think they needed 49 to have a majority. So a pretty solid majority. They
cleared that bar.
Yeah.
Absolutely cleared that bar.
And we might want to talk about, maybe we should have Ian on or something next week and talk about, we briefly touched on it before the show. Sorry, we're winding up and it's taking a long time, but maybe we're leaving a little hint for next week. That now that they've won this full-on majority, they can move past it, is now the time when this party can take those chances and do strict COVID rules. Because I felt like before this happened, they were like, we're going to have an election soon and we can't piss off the electorate too much, even if it's what needs to be done. So are we going to see a shift in BC over to a stronger mask mandate? Are we going to see Bonnie Henry laying down the law more? Are we going to see closures? Because we've got numbers rising. We're going to have to see next week. So see you. Spread the word, not the virus.
Not the virus.
We'll see you next week on Viral Transmissions.
Peace out.
Peace.